So this is a demonstration on how to create letters of a specific size, and this could be for vinyl cutting or for other stuff. And just a reminder of stuff that we talked about over the phone. Anyway, to start, we're going to open up the Illustrator file, and we're going to get a new file. Now, the thing is, your interface will look different because you're working CS5, but the stuff that I'm about to show you are common among both of them, so it shouldn't be that different. Once you open Illustrator CC, the first thing I would like you to do is to make sure that your increments are correct, which means that since you're going to be measuring in inches, you want your type to be measured in inches as well. And the way you do that is go to Illustrator pull-down menu, and then choose Preferences and go to Units. And under Units, just make sure that your type is set to inches and General is also set to inches. Doesn't matter about stroke, but I'm going to put them all to inches. And once I hit OK, then I could create a new document. Now I'm going to create a new document. It doesn't matter what size, you'll be able to pick it. In my area, notice that I still have this measured as picas. I don't know how yours will work, but I can actually bring it to inches from here, and I've created a fairly large document. Anyway, I hit create, and a new document should come up. Now, in order to set the type, the things you're going to want to do is, because you're going to want to manipulate individual letters and you want to create them the right size, you're going to want to create individual letters rather than typing the whole word on a single line. So the way you would do that is you go to type, and then instead of creating a type box, you would just basically click once and then type the letter. I'm going to be typing out Molly, so I'm going to just type the letter M. Now, right now you won't be able to see it because that M is pretty small, but I'm going to zoom in, show you the letter M. Now, the advantage of this is it enables you to get the selection tool up here, the black arrow, click on it, and if I hold down the Shift key, I can make this M any size that I want. All right, so what size do I want to make it? I'm going to back up again, and let's say you want to make a letter that's about 4 inches tall. All right, in order to do that, you're going to have to kind of know what 4 inches is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down the rulers for measuring, but not only do rulers measure, but they also allow you to drag out guides. So you go to View, and you go to Rulers, and go to Show Rulers, or you can use Command R. Now, if you notice, there's rulers on both sides at this point. So I said 4 inches, and so notice it might be a little hard to see, but there's a ruler along the side here. It starts at 0, which is the top of the page, and it goes down to 4 over here. So I'm going to drag out 2 guides. And the way you drag out a guide is you actually have to use the selection tool, have the selection tool hang out over the ruler itself. It can't be above the ruler, it can't be on the document, it has to be over the ruler and drag down. Now when I drag down, I see this nice blue line. If you do not see a blue line there, that's because the guides have been rendered invisible. If that happens, go to View and go to Guides and make sure that Hide Guides is off, so that I'll show you what it looks like. So I'm going to go to View, I'm going to go to Guides, I hit Show Guides if the guides are hidden, and notice that blue little guide shows up again. So that will be the top of the letter at 0. I'm going to drag another guide down to 4. And that's the size of the letter. Now what I'm just going to do is I'm going to take, with the selection tool selected, I'm going to take my letter M and I'm going to do some positioning. And sometimes this takes a bit of time, but remember, hold down the Shift key so the M stays the right size. And I'm going to drag it up in the top. And I'm just dragging the corners so it's the right size. Now it's lined up with the top. The bottom still looks like it needs some work, so I'm going to bring it down to the bottom. It takes a little bit of moment There's probably an easier way to do this, but this is the way I know how to do it. So that's right now the letter M that we want. And if you look at, I have a properties inspector here, you probably don't have that. You might have something running across the top, but if I want to see something, so if you want to see a screen that's similar to mine, what you can do is go and bring up the character palette. Now the way you can do that is either hit Command T or go to Windows, down to Type, and go to character, say Command T. And then you'll get something that looks like this. It might have a little bit more information. That would be under Show Options, but it'll look something like this. And all you're worried about right now is this first column right here, which is the size. The size right now is 4.946, which is kind of an awkward number. But if you wanted exactly 4 inches, this would be a good thing to do. Now, I don't want to have to memorize that, so what I can do, and this is up to you, you can either write it down, or I can click on it. I can click drag and hit Command C to copy it, and then so if I need it again, I'll know that it's there. All right, so I've done the first letter. Now I'm going to go back to the Type tool, and I'm going to click here, and it automatically remembered that I want that size, which is awesome. I don't have to worry about that. If that doesn't happen, you can Command paste that number that you've just selected and put it in this area right here. But I don't have to do that. I'm going to click O, holding down the Shift key because I want a capital letter O for Molly. All right, so I don't want to type the letter L right now, mostly because I want these to function independently. So to get out of the Type tool, you can tell the Type tool is selected here. I just go up to the Direct Selection tool and then go back down to the Type tool. That means the next letter won't be part of the same word, but they'll be an individual letter. Let me back up a little bit just to kind of show you where I am. Okay, so what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go back to the Type tool, type L, and they're overlap, but that doesn't really matter. Go back to the Selection tool, so I'm doing individual letters. Go back to the Type tool, click another L. There might be a faster way to do this, but I don't know how to do it, so this is the way I go. So then I go back to the Selection tool, go back to the Type tool, and hit the letter Y. So here we go back to the Type tool rather, and hit the letter Y. And now I have all my letters. Now, the advantage is I can take my Selection tool now and I can choose individual letters and I can move them around. I can move them down, but I can also rotate them, which is also kind of cool. So I'm going to take that letter O, I'm going to put the here. Notice that the letter O is slightly larger than the letter M. If you get it a little bit closer, you'll notice that. And that's just because that's how typography works. The letter L would look very much smaller if it stayed within the boundaries. I would suggest you keep the typography the way it is so it looks right. Now let's say I wanted to get these two L's so that they kind of fit more into each other. I use the Selection tool. I drag the letter L around. And then I take this letter L and I might want to flip it on its head. Now I can flip it on its head just by going, if you'll notice when I go to the corner here, might be a little hard to see, but the arrow turns into this kind of curvy arrow, which allows you to rotate. Now, this will let me rotate any way that I want. But if I wanted to rotate at perfect 90 degrees, I'm going to hit Command Z to get back. I hold down the Shift key, and it'll give me increments of 45, 90, 140, and 180. And then I can take this object and kind of move it over the top like this. And then I can move the Y this way. And so this is a way that you can manipulate your letters. And I think probably you would do a better job at manipulating the letters to get them right, but I just kind of wanted to show you how that worked. So that should kind of show you, in a nutshell, basically all you have to do to get the letters for vinyl cutting. I hope this was helpful. All right, now I'm going to try to get this out of here. So I'm going to go to here and QuickTime Player, quit. And save.